This is part 2 of the thriller recommendations video that I made a few weeks or a few months ago. I have recommended around 16 books in that video and I have around 15 to 16 books for you in this video. Dark thrillers, psychological thrillers, crime thrillers, mystery thrillers, any type of thriller. Hopefully you'll get at least one recommendation over here. If you watch this video and you're like, I wish I had more recommendations like this, I am going to link the thriller playlist that I have for you in the description, where I have reading vlogs for you, where I have other thriller recommendations for you, because it is one of my most favorite genres. It is quick paced, and if the ending is good enough, it's just mind bending. I hope you get at least one recommendation out of it. Let's begin the video. Hey you guys, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're doing very nice, and I'm sending a lot of hugs and positivity to all of you. Hi, if you're new, welcome to the channel. I really hope you enjoy the content, and if you do, please do consider subscribing and like and comment, because those are the only things that lets YouTube know that you enjoyed my video. Let's start with one of my favorite authors and one of the books that I have very recently read that has completely twisted my brain. It took me so long to come to a conclusion with what I felt about the book. Do I love it or do I hate it? And now my conclusion is the book is amazing. However, the ending is disgusting. I don't mind that because maybe it's okay for me. It's written like a spider's web where different things connect with different things, and all of it comes together in the end with the biggest plot twist. The plot twist is something that I have never read before. It has completely bended my mind. I couldn't believe what I am reading. The book is I Know Who You Are by Alice Feeney, who is also the author of Sometimes I Lie and Rock Paper Scissors, which I think I recommended in the previous video. This one is the story of an actress who is working and she's had a fight with her husband the last night. She's thinking about it. She's thinking about how nobody else really knows her the way her husband knows her, and she's thinking if it is okay to stay in this relationship that is causing her so much pain. Is it okay to give him another chance? She's thinking about all these things. She goes home to talk to her husband, but her husband is not there. Her husband has gone missing. Filled with married couple drama, which is one of my favorite things to read about in a thriller book, because couples are crazy, extremely fast paced, makes you want to literally pull your hair out somewhere in the middle because you don't know why the information is there, but then the ending completely makes up for it. I don't think that it's meant for everybody. It is very easy to read, but because the ending is so unusual, a lot of you may find it disgusting. So I'm telling you beforehand, if you get into this, expect that. But if you're okay with twisted things, I think you're gonna be a big fan. Next up, we have two books by Frida McFadden. One of them was a hit, the other one was a miss. I am having such trouble with Frida McFadden books because every time I read a book and I'm like, oh, maybe she's not the author for me, because everything was so insanely predictable. I read another book and I'm like, whoa. I read The Locked Door by Frida McFadden, and I had also read the back of the book, because of which the book seemed a little spoiled for me because the back of the book gave away so much. I did enjoy it, but I predicted everything, literally everything except a little bit in the end. I thought that I will not read any of her books, but then I read The Housemaid and The Housemaid's Secret, and that turned out to be really exciting. Now, I read The Teacher by Frida McFadden recently in a YouTube video. Read it so quickly, it's so fast paced, so easy to read, definitely thrilling. I guessed everything, not just me, anybody who is an avid reader of the thriller genre. If they see this title and they see the first few chapters, or they even read the blurb, they'll know exactly what the book is about, and that really disappointed me. However, I enjoyed my time so much while reading it. It is so binge worthy. All of her books are so binge worthy that for some reason I feel like I don't really want to read it, but I can't stop myself. So if you're looking for a fast-paced book, if you're a complete beginner as a thriller reader and you think that, oh, I'm not very good at guessing plot twists, I think you should go with this book, which is the story of yet another couple, both of whom are a teacher at a school. It has multiple perspectives, so that makes it a lot of fun. That is when I decided that maybe I shouldn't read any more books by Frida McFadden, but then I saw Ruthvik's video, so I was like, okay, let me give this book a shot. This is the last book I own by her. I'll finish this and then decide what I want to do. The book is The Inmate by Frida McFadden. This is the story of Brooke, who is a nurse who is going to work in a prison, and she has these rules to follow, but what the people in the prison don't know is that there is somebody in the prison that Brooke knows since a long time. Even though this one also was slightly predictable for me, I enjoyed this book so much, almost as much as The Housemaid, and I was shocked. The ending twisted, the drama awesome, the writing style was actually really enjoyable, the epilogue was crazy, and it's such a short book that it took me like 3 hours to finish it. Definitely enjoyed this book insanely much. Yet again, I have also seen so many other people read Frida McFadden books and they like books that I don't like. I like books that they don't like. Frida McFadden as an author, I think, is a very personal, subjective thing, so take the recommendations with a grain of salt, but if you like the premise of them, you can definitely give it a shot. Especially if you're in a reading slump and you're like, I want to read a thriller, there is no better author because you finish her book like this. Next, I have 2 books from a series, and I cannot believe that I've never recommended it before. It is a Netflix series. It's one of my favorite Netflix series ever. Like a few years ago, I got vaccinated during the lockdown and I listened to these books as an audiobook. So for the first time ever, I preferred the series over the books, which has literally never ever happened. But that does not mean that the books were not awesome. It's a story of a man who's had a rough past, and so he has grown up to try to take care of women. That taking care always crosses boundaries, and you get to see what happens when he gets obsessed. The books are You by Caroline Kippens and Hidden Bodies by Caroline Kippens, For You and Only You, and You Love Me. I read 3 books when I was listening to it as an audiobook, and I do not remember which of these I read at that time, which is why I'm not recommending it right now because I have no memory. I don't know if it is good enough or not, but if you want, you can read all of these. It's the kind of story that ages really well. It becomes very interesting as you move forward, as you go into the past of the character. Fast paced, very interesting to read. The main character in the book, Joe Goldberg, because Penn Badgley plays him in the series, I really like that character, but when I'm reading about him, he comes off as disgusting, and it is fun to see just how disgusting he can be. Therefore, if you want a book with the main character being a stalker and being obsessed with women vibes, this is your series. Next is another series. Is this the only? Oh yeah, I have another series after this. I'm reading thriller series now. This is a thrilling book. It is one of the most thrilling books that I've ever read, and it has great element of mystery. I'm telling you, it's literally a masterpiece. However, it's not that gruesome, it's not that dark. So if you're looking for a thriller, if you're looking for a fast-paced story, if you want mystery but you don't want it to be gruesome, you don't want all of the stalker obsession vibes, then this will be the perfect series for you. It is a story of Avery, who has just inherited billions and billions of dollars from a very old man that died. The old man did not know Avery at all, and now we get to see why is it that Avery inherited everything when that old man had an entire Hawthorne family. So many of you must have already guessed it. It is one of the best series I have read this year. The series is the Inheritance Game series. The second book is the Hawthorne Legacy, and the third book is the Final Gambit. It has characters, it has drama, it has emotions. It also has a subplot of romance going on. So I recently made a video where I wanted to recommend romance books, and I wanted to recommend these books in that too, but it's just not it. Romance is not that big of a plot. It's more about the games that are being played, because the old man that died loved to play games, and it's more about the secrets being revealed. It's more about the mystery and the thriller part of it. It's extremely binge worthy. If you're in a reading slump, this is the perfect series for you. I did not like the last book as much as I enjoyed the first 2 books. The second one was actually my favorite book because this one gets so game heavy, and all of the emotions and all the other parts that were going on in the first 2 books are gone. However, the ending is so satisfying. It does get dark here and there. In all, it is an amazing experience. It's also a YA series, a young adult series, so you can read it if you are a teenager, and I hope you have fun while reading it. Next up, we have a Lisa Jewell book. I think it is her latest release. This one is by far the most favorite book for most of the people that I know by her, though my favorite is The Family Upstairs, which I have already recommended in the previous video in part 1. This one was not as crazy for me. I did not enjoy it as much as I enjoyed The Family Upstairs, or even another book that I've read by her, which is there in this list, which I'll recommend in a second. However, does not mean that Lisa Jewell did not literally serve with the creepy vibes, with the playing with your mind psychological thriller aspect, where none of it is true. The book is None of This Is True by Lisa Jewell. It's a story of 2 women who have the same birthday, and they cross each other's path, and one of them convinces the other one to let her record her for her podcast. Too much her going on. I hope I made sense. If I didn't, it's actually good, because then you'll go into the book a little blind. They start recording the podcast, and then the book is written in different timelines where you're reading a little bit of the podcast, you're reading different perspectives. It's so twisted and it's not very clear whose perspective is going on, but all of that just adds to the psychological thriller part of it. So I think if you like psychological thrillers where you don't want to know what is going on, if you want your mind bended till the end, literally the end, I think this will be an amazing book. Not if you want a simple dark twisted thriller. This one gets a little complicated. After the darkness that Lisa Jewell spews, the next book is a fun one. If you want a vacation setting, if you want to feel like you are on a vacation, or you're actually going on a vacation and you want to buy a book for your airplane or the airport, if you want to sit on a beach and read a book, or you just want to sit in your bed but you want to feel like you're sitting at a beach and reading a book, this one is the perfect one. It is the story of an author who every time she goes on a vacation somebody dies and she writes books about them. The book is Every Time I Go on Vacation Somebody Dies by Catherine Mack. This one is one of the best written thrillers I've ever read. I did not even know that thrillers can be so fun, and I mean fun, not funny, though I did laugh out loud at so many places. It's so much fun. It breaks the fourth wall, which means that the main character actually talks to you, because the main character is telling you the entire story and she knows how everything goes down. She's testing you, she's teasing you, she's laughing at you, she's asking you whether you know things or not. The book has a few footnotes where the main character is even giving you clues. She's like, yeah, okay, here you go, now you know this also, can you figure out who the killer is? The ending was not completely satisfying for me. It was a little too obvious. It's not like I guessed it. It was very well done. Everything was perfect. Even the ending so well tied together. However, just one thing I would want that would give me the gut punch that I did not get. Even then, sometimes I think that I want to give it a 5 stars. I've given it like 4.5 stars because I did not get the gut punch. But the way it's written, the way I feel when I think about it, a fan of the writing style, I feel like giving it a 5 stars. The characters are so amazing and it's so much fun. You must read this book. Back to the dark, creepy vibes. You guys, I've never read a book that's just as dark as this. This is the darkest book I've ever read. It's the story of a teenager that dies, and we are seeing somebody try to document what exactly happened with that teenager. 3 teenagers who were behind what happened with that teenager. It's a collection of investigations and interviews, how the author goes deep into the history of the place where everything took place. It's tragic, it's horrifying, but one of the best reads. This one is a very slow paced one and I do not recommend it to beginners. Do not read it if you're in a reading slump. If you have read all of the books that I've already talked about and you're like, Anchal, I'm a seasoned reader, give me something more. Give me something more to root for. And if you're the kind of person who's like me, who likes to get to know the characters a lot, because then it just becomes crazier, it has a literary fiction element to it, then you'll find this book amazing. And the book is Eliza Clark's Penance. Eliza Clark is the queen of writing uncomfortable, not just scary. It's not even a horror book, but it was scary to me. It was that dark. Seeing the accounts of these teenagers, what they can do, how they were looking at the teenager that died, I'm like, it's crazy and it's creepy, and I've never been more scared of teenagers in my life. Even though it is about teenagers, it's not meant for teenagers, so don't read it if you're a teenager. It's 18 or 21, no, 18 plus, and read the trigger warnings before you get into it and be ready to be creeped out. Next one is not my favorite. I actually DNF'd this book, but I got a few comments in the video where I have talked about this book, and a couple of people actually really enjoyed it. So I think maybe if you're a certain kind of reader, you will enjoy this book, and that is why I'm recommending it over here. It's a story of a girl that has gone to sleep after her best friend died, and everybody thinks that she is the killer, but she's been asleep since then, and a doctor is called on to try to wake her up, and if he's able to wake her up, then his career will whoosh go on the top. And this gives me such strong silent patient vibes, which is why I was so excited to read it. However, my ick with it is that it's way too information heavy, way too information heavy about sleep itself. However, if you enjoy books where it's a deep analysis also of the topic that is going on, and you don't want to read just a simple thriller, it's too shallow for you or something, then this is the perfect book for you. It is Anna O by Matthew Play. There is a lot of dialogue and it's very easy to read, so even if you're a beginner, you can definitely read it. Just if you like information, if you like analysis, if you like a slow-paced book, if you're a beginner and you're like, I want these books, I don't want to read Frida McFadden, I don't want to read a fast-paced book, then this is your perfect book. It almost feels like a documentary to me. Next is another Lisa Jewell book, which I think is one of her darkest books. It still did not surpass Penance. Okay, but it is one of her darkest books, and that ending still haunts me. I actually think about that ending sometimes. This book actually made me sad, it made me feel bad, it made me feel disgusting and dark. It wasn't really about the plot twist for me because it was a little predictable. However, just the book in itself, I really enjoyed it, even if it was really dark. The book is Then She Was Gone by Lisa Jewell, which is the story of a mother who has lost her daughter when she was really young, and I think 10 to 15 years later the daughter comes back. Except it's not the daughter. One thing that Lisa Jewell promises is more than what has been said on the blurb or more than what has been said in a description, and that is so rewarding. Again, very easy to read. It's very dark and twisted, so if you like twisted books, go ahead, read it and get ready to be sad even though you know it is a thriller. Next up is the last series that I have read. The book is Finlay Donovan is Killing It and Finlay Donovan Knocks Him Dead. It has 2 more books in the series, though I don't think I'm going to continue it. This book was a 5-star for me. This one, not so much. It's the story of Finlay Donovan, who is a mystery thriller writer, and she's talking about one of her stories with her agent in a cafe when some woman actually hires her as a hit woman to kill her husband. That's what happens in the first book, and it has now unraveled into something bigger because of the ending of this book. It's cozy mystery, so it doesn't get as gruesome, at least in the first book. Even though it does talk about really heavy topics, it's funny. The characters are adorable. You would want to root for them even though they are grey characters. It's just a fun cozy time. This one got a little repetitive and heavy for me, but that's just my opinion. I still think that because I enjoyed this book so much and because I like the character of Finlay Donovan so much, it made this book fun. In the end, we have another book like Penance. This one is not as dark, honestly, but the writing style, the way it's written, is the beauty part of it. It is what stands out to me. Yet again, if you're done with all of the cozy mysteries and the fast-paced Freida McFadden's, then this is your book because it is slow-paced. It has the literary fiction element to it, and it is written gorgeously. I always think about this book. It's Kala by Colin Walsh, which yet again, Kala has actually died, and years later her friend group has come together again only to discover what exactly happened with Kala. There are 3 perspectives going on. One of them is written in the second person, and that is my favorite part because that really adds to the story and it adds to the ending. The writing style is complicated, so if you're a beginner, maybe skip out on it unless you want a literary fiction sort of thriller. It is slow paced, but the ending is amazing, a gut punch. The only reason I did not give this book a 5-star, and I warn you about it, is the animal brutality. I just can't stand it. I just can't, something happens to me. It's a very tiny part of it, like 2 pages of it, but beware of it. With that, we come towards the end of the video. These were all of the wait, for some reason I always forget to recommend this book because I don't have the physical copy of it. I'm going to recommend today. Another recommendation I have for you is Verity by Colleen Hoover, which is a story of a ghostwriter who goes to the place of her favorite author, finds her autobiography or biography, and starts reading it to discover very dark things. Fast-paced, extremely creepy. Oh my god, it is so haunting and creepy, and one of the best thrillers that I have read. Even the ending haunts me till now. Yes, some parts of it are cringy, so get into the book with that thought, but I really enjoyed the story. Now it is the end of the video. Those were all of the books that I had for you. I really hope you got at least one recommendation for yourself. I hope you enjoyed this video. More recommendations in the description. If you enjoyed it, please do like, share, subscribe. I'll see you guys again very soon. Bye.